This is my no sleep and fly all day and missed flights and delayed flights. Beginning of next year, record a solo album, follow up to One-Sided War, and that'll come out.
Awesome, by the way.
Thank you, yeah, thank you.
Great.
And that'll come out end of next year, and that's going to be with some different players and stuff. I like to experiment with different sounds and players and musicianship. And then Joel and I are going to do an album end of next year.
Yes.
And we're talking to a few different people. We're not sure who's going to be drumming on it or playing bass on it, but we want to go in a little different direction, not the typical power rock style of drumming. You know, maybe I don't know if you guys are familiar with Todd Schukerman or Dean Castronovo. You know,
Yeah. Awesome.
So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. I'm really excited about that album.
Cool.
And then I'm doing an album with Sebastian Bach. So loud. Why does rock have to be so loud? You know? Oh, too loud. All right, here we go. Let's see how this works. have to.
That's about as loud as my wife will let me get away with.
And oh gosh, I have so many. I mean, my first influence as a musician was my dad. My dad's a singer. And, he's a singer, songwriter, guitar player, and he used to teach me how to play chords on his 12-string Gibson jumbo when I was 5 years old. And I could barely put my hands around the neck. It's hard. So they bought me my own guitar. There's a picture of it online somewhere, me grinning, you know, missing teeth, you know, playing a little gut string guitar. And so my dad was the first influence for sure. And then I was influenced by Elvis a lot. I mean, I went to see him at the Forum when I was a kid, and it changed my life. You know, Elvis, and he was just such a legendary figure, and I was so just in awe of him. And I grew up watching and hearing Elvis my whole life, you know, pretty much. I mean, everything's referenced to Elvis in my family. Like, you know, I was selling my house, my flat roof house out in California, and I said, Dad, we're having trouble selling our house because of the flat roof. And he said, well, you know, Mike, Elvis had a flat roof house, you know. Everything is to do with Elvis in my family. There's pictures, like velour pictures of Elvis on the walls of my parents' house. Seriously. And then I got into Chuck Berry as a guitar player, and then I started getting into John Fogerty, because I love, I'm the kind of guy, I'm not a shredder, you know, I'm not a guy that does all this stuff. I like riffs. I'm all about the riff that people are going to remember. And John Fogerty was the master of riffs. You know, bam, 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 right? Those crazy riffs.
It's all about the soul.
Yeah, absolutely. And I heard Creedence, and it just floored me. So I was influenced heavily by him. He was inspirational. And then I started getting into groups like Grand Funk Railroad and Aerosmith. I got into Cheap Trick. And I started getting more into the melodic stuff. I was a big fan, believe it or not, of Loverboy. I love Loverboy, you know? And it was the shot with the red pants. I just said, man, I gotta have that album. And then I got into, when the guitar hero we all know came on the scene, Eddie Van Halen. That blew my mind. That really opened the floodgates. And it was Eddie, Randy Rhoads, big influences. I also love bands like ELO, the Beatles, vocal harmonies, Queen, Boston, vocals and guitars and songs. It's all about the song at the end of the day. So there's so many. I could go on and on for 2 hours about that. It's so in me and such a part of who I am that it's just a natural thing to always go there with my music. Because the way I look at it is God blessed us with music and blessed us with abilities. So, you know, that's my way of just kind of giving back, you know, and honoring him. I'm not a perfect, you know, believer. I'm not a perfect man of faith. I'm not a perfect Christian, but man, I certainly try to be a light in the dark and do good things with what he's given me, you know. So that's pretty much it, man. I don't sit and think too hard about it. I just do it. If that makes any sense.
Okay, I don't know if this is on. Doesn't sound like it's on. Okay.
Brother, your voice is so deep and loud, man. I don't think you need that.
There
There you go.
there we go.
There we go.
You saw the tweet yesterday. I think I tweeted out yesterday about the Christian band for King and Country, one of the biggest Christian bands right now.
Yep.
And Joel Smallbone said that Stryper was their first concert that he went to when he was 5 years old in Australia. And just kind of what do you think about that? I mean, these guys are huge now, and so really kind of got their influence.
Well, the story behind that, his dad was David, and he was the promoter for our shows in Australia. He's the one that brought us to Australia the first time back in 1980. I think it was 87. I want to say it was 87. And we toured, and that's why he was there. And you know who else is his sister is Rebecca St. James. She was there too. I used to bounce her on my knee. She watching her, I'm bouncing her on my knee, and Rebecca St. James, you know, she's a big star. Pretty cool, man. It's crazy.
Cool.
How life, what life throws at us, and the things you eventually find out. It's amazing, mind-blowing. Very cool, though. Anybody else? Riff, that's a tongue twister. Striper would probably be, I'm going to go with maybe Rock That Makes Me Roll, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my favorites. Whenever we play that live, I could go from like not smiling to smiling. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one of those riffs that just makes you, yeah. And then the solo, I would probably say my personal favorite solo from me, oh man, I think it would probably be the First Love solo.
Nice, nice.
Listen, if you guys don't have to work tomorrow, let me go back to the hotel for 2 hours. I'll come back.
I wanted to tell you, love their last album and would love to hear what the Theta Pro sounds like on some of the opening riffs of Yahweh. Any chance of getting you to pick a few of those?
Oh gosh, I'm trying to think how Yahweh goes. I forget stuff. What is it? What's the riff? I can't even remember it, man. Right? Is that it?
That's it.
It might sound a little bit better off the clean channel. Just saying.